know if it's recording. Oh, there we go. Stop it. Sorry, Cyrus is... Okay, so I'm using the regular camera because I noticed that the video was a little iffy on the last couple episodes. So I'm going to be using the good camera. And I did the whole kind of setup. I did the setup. If you hear running around or things clinking, Cyrus is not used to me recording like this, so he's like playing with toys, and right now he's burping. If you heard that. If not, lucky you. But he's very interested in what I'm doing because I'm sitting in a weird spot and I've like rearranged everything. So anyway, welcome to the Eclectic Knitter podcast. This is kind of, this could be typical for these kinds of recordings since the dog thinks I'm talking to him. And he's super interested in everything that's plugged into the computer since it's in a different spot. Which you need to watch it. Hi, can I help you? What did I tell you? Okay, there, good boy. Okay, sorry, he's very distracting. So, this is the Eclectic Knitter podcast. My name is Raylene. My Ravelry name is Kamana Knits. You can find show notes for this episode at theeclecticknitter.com. You can find episodes on YouTube. There's links on the forums to the show notes. There's also episodes up on iTunes, and the last time I checked, all of the newer ones are showing. I have not uploaded any of the older ones to... I have not uploaded any of the older ones to the blog or to iTunes, but they are all, most of them I believe, are up on YouTube, I think. My glasses seem dirty, so I might just clean them while talking. It has been 2 weeks. I am recording on time. I showered just for you, podcast. Aren't you lucky? I haven't left the house except for taking the dog out. So, it is about 8 o'clock Mountain Standard Time on Sunday, April 30th. It's the last day of April. Tomorrow is May. That means Mother's Day is in 2 weeks, which I need to... Cyrus, what are you doing? He walked, like, out to the kitchen somewhere, and I don't know what he's doing. Oh. What are you doing? So Mother's Day is coming up. I need to mail my Mother's Day present. If you... Really, brat? My brother's birthday is in 8 days. Yay! So yeah, that is all the regular stuff. I have one finished object. These have been worn twice since I finished them and I'm recording. These, and I have not washed them since they were worn the last time. So these are my Lollipop Yarns First World Problems self-striping. I did contrasting heels, toes, and cuffs, and I had just enough of this brown, of the contrasting. There are 2 of them. This is the one thing about having the camera further away. I have to stretch. So you can see they're peeling a little bit already on the heel. But like I said, they have been worn twice and not washed yet. So... I don't even bother washing my socks. All my socks get thrown in the washer and the dryer. On delicate, but still. So I don't even bother washing them. I only have 1 pair of sock blockers. So I don't bother washing them and like putting them on sock blockers to dry. So, but yeah, there is some pilling already, which, whatever. So that's that. Works in progress. I feel like I've made a lot of progress. Everything you've seen before. I'm just going to grab a drink. I just finished taking the dog out. And he's got a lot of toys to choose from. So he's laying, like, all of his favorites are, like, kind of around his paws in a semicircle. So he, like, chews on one for a little bit, and then moves over and chews on another for a little bit, and then moves over and chews on another one for a little bit. My dog is spoiled. I accept that. He has, like, 4 bow ties, and a hiking backpack, and doggles, which are goggles for dogs. And they're actually sunglasses. Like, there's a legitimate reason for them. They're made for dogs that either stick their head out of the window of a car or who go in the sidecars of motorcycles to protect their eyes from debris. And they're also legit sunglasses. They have, like, UV protection in them and stuff. I put them on him once in the evening when it was dark and we were inside and he kind of hated them. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. So, works in progress. We'll start with this. I started on a Yowza Weigh It Shell 1 out of, this is Miss Babs Yowza What a Skein in the excellent colorway. This seems to have been something that was only available for a short time. I haven't seen it on the website again. I still don't know if I like it or not. So I actually put a marker in because I'm like, there's no way I'm going to remember. I was that far last time and now I'm this far this time. So as you can see, it's kind of weird colors. Like I said, I can't decide if I like it or not. I kind of like it more on the camera than I do in person. Is that allowed? Is that a thing? So basically, I'm not going to give away anything because it is a paid-for pattern, but you're increasing 3 stitches every single row. So it grows wide really fast, and every row is taking what feels like forever now, even though it's not, because let me tell you, you'll see how many stitches I have on my needles on a different project in a little bit. This is not that bad yet. But I have made a good amount of progress. I actually have not knit on big yarn for a while. Now, you're supposed to do this on a size 8. Oh, I am using a size 8. Oh no, you're supposed to use a size 9. I'm using a size 8. I don't have 9s. I have, like, up till 7. And then I have, like, 15s. US size 15s. In, like, a 16-inch, because I knit a cowl one time out of Malabrigo. I don't remember. They're big, chunky, like you get like 90 yards in a skein because it's like a single ply. It's this big around. And I did a cabled cowl. That went to a friend. Anyway. So yeah, I've got like 7s and then I've got like needles that are this thick. I don't have 9s or 10s or anything. I don't have anything. That's not entirely true. I bought some Hiya interchangeables. Because I love Hiya. But anyway, I'm saying that a lot. So, this is how that is going. You knit to a certain weight of yarn and then knit a ruffle onto it. Which means as many stitches as this has on it right now. And the chair might start to move because he's like moved his antler. So it's like almost again. Anyway. So you knit till you have a certain yardage or a certain weight left, and I weighed this before I started, and I had 8.4 ounces. You're supposed to have 8, so she is very generous with yardage. So it's 8.4 ounces. You knit to a certain. You keep going like this for a certain length or a certain yardage. Oh my goodness. You knit until this is a certain weight that is less than 8.4. Then you do a ruffle, in which, in the first row of the ruffle, you double your stitches. And then you knit the ruffle until you hit another weight, and then you bind off using a picot bind off. And that will be... I don't think I'm going to do a picot bind off, I'm telling you right now. I don't think it's happening. I just don't. So the goal for this is to hand it to my sister-in-law once it's done, because she really liked this skein in the skein, and go, if you like this, you can have it. If you don't like the colors and are not going to wear it, don't feel pressured to take it. But if you like it, you can have it. So yeah, that's that. It's nice to kind of pick up at the end of the day and do a couple rows, or a row, or half a row. No, I try to finish at least one row. I try not to put things aside in the middle of rows. That actually bothers me quite a bit. Mostly because I usually pick it up and lose stitches. Sorry, because I showered. Everything's a little dry. I can't decide if it's raining or not. I went outside with the dog just before recording, and it was like drizzling a little bit, but now it seems to have stopped. So, next thing that I'm working on, I think all of my bags are Amy Beth bags today. So if you're wondering where I got them, Amy Beth, Fat Squirrel Fibers. This is a skein of Knitterly Things Vesper sock with nylon. This is in her Woodland colorway. I am knitting these on zeros because, let's face it, that's what I do my socks on. And these are huge. I have knit this much and I feel awkward about continuing because they are so big. So this is the Woodland colorway. That is a teal. That's a dark blue. That's like a peachy. That's a brown. And then the chartreusey green. I'm knitting these for a friend. I have a friend from Puerto Rico who is working on immigrating to Canada. He has been working on it for quite a while. And because they're kind of like they're part of the US, but they're not really. He's had a lot of trouble getting his passport sorted out. And it's supposed to actually arrive in the mail this week. So I'm knitting these socks for him. I've known him for 3 years now. Something like that. This is 76 stitches on a US size 0. It is 4.5 inches long. Like from here to here is 4.5 inches. It feels wrong when I'm knitting because it doesn't quite all fit on my needle. Like when I normally knit socks, like I use this part of my hand against there, and then all of the stitches like sit in between, and then I magic loop. So I push all the stitches in between, and because this is so much wider, like the widest sock I've done for myself is 72 stitches on a 0. These would be probably too big for me, 72, because it's quite a thick sock yarn, which I love. I love this sock yarn. I keep thinking they're too big, but he wears a US size 12 or 12.5 men's. So they're probably not too big, but I've never knit socks for a guy before, so they feel like they're too big, which is why I have not worked on them much, because they feel like they're going to be too big. I have a lot of anxiety surrounding these socks right now, so what I'm doing is ignoring them and hoping they go away. They will magically finish themselves. That's the plan. Third. I put a square onto my Tosh Merino Light blanket. I ordered some stuff from Webs. This is not what I got from Webs. Oh yeah, maybe this is. Okay, so that one and another one. I'm starting to order unicorn tails from wherever, if I'm placing an order and they have unicorn tails. Now, the Madeline Tosh store has actually had some unicorn tails up on their site. Tosh Merino Light is not normally it's a retail base, so they don't normally carry it in their store, but they've been doing spring cleaning, so they've had a spring clear out sale, and I've bought way too much. So I got these 2 unicorn tails. This is Himiko. It's a purple. It's a lot less blue than that. And this is Murakami. It's a speckle. But when I was placing an order from Webb's, they had TML unicorn tail bundles. And I didn't read well enough at the time. Cyrus, what are you doing? Okay, I'm back. Hopefully. If there's a funny cut, it's because the dog jumped up on the couch and knocked a bunch of books over and then was being a brat. Now he's laying on his bed and he's very sorry because I yelled at him, not because of anything else. So yeah, I ordered a bunch of unicorn tails. I'm just going to move this closer. Sorry. And they were all practically the same color. So I've pulled out the ones that were different. And the rest have gone into my craft room, into the bin. Some of them are labeled, like this one is Whiskey Barrel. This one just says one of a kind. But I think it's Glass Bottom Boat. Or, like they have, you can see the name under the label kind of, and then a sticker is put across them saying one of a kind. Torchiere. See, this is also, these two look very similar. Whew, that's making it look really red. It's very pink. So anyway, I put another square on here. It's mandala. And then I wove in a bunch of ends. So this is what it is right now. I wove in all of these ends. This whole top row had ends still. And this one, and this one, and this part of this, like some of these lower ones, like you can see here. I have another end for that Arctic. To Cyrus, go lie down. Go. Back up. He's acting like if he doesn't look at me, I can't see him. So that is where I'm at with that. I'm really liking how this is turning out. I will be knitting more on it, of course. That is living in my Fat Squirrel sweater bag with Granny Squares crocheted on it. Next, I am working on a little boxy for my niece. I am knitting this on US size 4s as called for in the pattern. Last week I had cast on, so you all know, or most of you know, that I am using Madeline Tosh BFL sock in the Cosmic Wonder Dust colorway. I have 2 skeins of this. Like I said last week, I had cast on. I am alternating every 2 rows. This is very bunched up right now, but I am about 6 inches into the body out of 13.5. I am not going to go that long. My niece is only 3. The R&R hoodie that I made for her, I went 10.5 inches, and that was a little bit too long. So I am probably going to go 11 inches. This is probably going to be too big for her all the way around. I'm doing the size, even for an oversized sweater, it's going to be too big. I'm doing the 6-year-old size because it was either that or the 4-year-old size. And while I realized that the 4-year-old size would have been small enough, I wanted it to fit longer. Good boy. So I really like how it's knitting up. I don't know if I would have had to necessarily alternate skeins because it is so speckly. I don't know if it would have mattered. But at the same time, I figured if the cream base color, if there was any difference in that, I didn't want there to be a noticeable line, or even if the rate of speckling changed between the two skeins, I didn't want to be like knit one skein which has a moderate amount of speckling and then all of a sudden there's like no speckling because I changed skeins completely. So I decided to alternate every 2 rows, which is fine. It's knitting up really nicely. I haven't used this base before. I believe it's 100% BFL. Yeah, 100% BFL. There's no nylon or anything in it. But it's knitting up nice. And I think she's going to enjoy it. I think my mom and my sister-in-law will enjoy it more. So that's really nice to have something else that I can just knit around and around and around and around and around, kind of like I do a sock, usually. And the last thing that I am working on is the same project that has been in this bag for almost 1.5 years. No, it's been 1.5 years. I started this sweater October 2015, so you've seen it off and on in the last 2 years. This is my Row cardigan by Michelle Wang. It's a Brooklyn tweed pattern. I am knitting it out of Wet Gems worsted superwash in the steel gray colorway, which is purple, in other words. So this is the first sleeve done. And like the body's been done for a while. I think since last summer, to be honest with you. The one sleeve is done. And I picked up the ribbing. I picked up for the ribbing. And I've done like, let's see, how many rows? Pick up row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have picked up and done 7 rows of 2x2 ribbing. Aren't I lucky? I'm the luckiest person in the world. Considering this is an oversized sweater that is really long. And in the pattern, I did not check my stitch count. I did not exactly. It just says pick up from here to where you start picking up the live stitches at the back of the neck. It says pick up 193 stitches. You're supposed to have like about 500 stitches on the needle by the time you are done picking everything up. I have not count. I do not care. I picked up at a rate of about 3 stitches per every 4 rows, and this seems like it will lay nicely. And now I am at the point where I am knitting. So I'm knitting 500 stitches per row of 2x2 rib, and I have to knit 8 inches. Yeah, this is 5 inches, and I thought that was really long. I have to knit 8 inches of ribbing so that I can then fold it in half and have a double thick collar that you then like both connect to here and also bind off at the same time. So I'm interested to see how that will work out. I decided to do the ribbing before the collar before I did the second sleeve because the charts have been slowing me down. They're not hard. It's just, especially for a sleeve, as you're working the chart, you're also doing increases and then decreases for the shoulder shaping. And I was finding it too much a lot of the time at the end of the day, to come home and deal with not only keeping track of where you are on a chart, but also keeping track of how many increase, repeat, or, rows in between increases and stuff. It was just too much. So I finished this sleeve. I actually, this is ridiculous, but my goal was to actually get this sweater done by this weekend. Yeah, it's a little dumb of me to believe that I could do that, considering these sleeves and this whole pattern is very heavily cabled and patterned, and 8 inches of ribbing over 500 stitches. Like, I got 7 rows done, and I think I've done so much. So once I have finished the ribbing, I then have one more sleeve to do, and I need to get this done. I want to cast on a flax sweater for Mad May. Every year in May, Madeline Tosh, one of the Madeline Tosh groups, does an event called Mad May, Madeline Tosh May, basically, where you knit projects out of Madeline Tosh, and they have projects that have been selected for CALs. So there's like a voting process in the month prior. So they've been working on this probably since the middle of March, I think. I've seen threads up about it. So you can either knit a specific pattern. So like they have, I don't even know what they have this year. So they'll have specific shawls or specific crochet projects or whatever that have been voted on and chosen by the members of the group. And you knit them out of Madeline Tosh yarn. You start May 1st. The goal is to cast off by May 31st, and then there's prizes and stuff. So in addition to the specific pattern CALs, there's also general CALs. So the general shawl CAL, the general sweater CAL. So I have a skein of, or I have a sweater quantity of Madeline Tosh Vintage in the Steam Age colorway, which is, I actually think I have it here. In a non-fat squirrel fiber bag. I don't know if I can handle this excitement. This is a Bird Leg Bags bag. Steam Age looks like this. It's gray with blue and pink in it. This is probably one of my oldest sweater quantities. I picked it up in BC when I lived out there. They're actually short skeins. So instead of being 200 yards, they're 190 yards. I have 10 skeins of it, so I've got 1900 yards. I want to knit a flax out of it. I started knitting the French braid cardigan out of it ages ago when I was still living in BC. So over 4 years ago, I started. That's how long I've had this yarn. And the French braid cardigan has like a braid pattern that you start in the back, and then you knit like a raglan shape, and it's an open front cardigan that has this really pretty cable and lace panel that goes all the way down, and then it swoops out. But it just wasn't working with the variegation of the yarn. So I'm hoping that the flax will work. I'm planning on alternating every 2 rows. It's a raglan top down. It's a free pattern from Tin Can Knits. It's out of their Simple collection, and I've knit a small one before for my niece. So I really want to start on that, and I wanted to get this other sweater done before I started on that. Excuse me, but I'm not going to get that done. Would I get a sweater for me done in a month? Maybe. I've been pretty close before. My Graham cardigan, which was knit out of Madeline Tosh Vintage in the Cove colorway, I finished that in close to a month. And that had like a hood and a zipper that my mom put. It was knit in pieces, seamed. So I could maybe. It's doable. But that means I would really have to focus on it, which is fine. I don't mind having to focus on something. Anyway, that's all for the knitting. Whew, that's a lot of knitting. Let's see, what else? I've been playing Roller Coaster Tycoon. Apparently all the games from the late 90s, early 2000s are kind of my thing. I picked up a game called Project High Rise. I think I talked about that last time. I haven't played it too much recently because Roller Coaster Tycoon. I've also been playing The Sims a little bit, but I've been reading poetry books from Button Poetry. I picked up a couple from there, so I've been reading through those. I also ordered a poetry book by Margaret Atwood and another one by Leonard Cohen from Chapters, so I'm kind of reading through those, but I haven't really finished anything recently. So that is, we're going to call that good. I don't know, I don't have show notes. So, thank you everyone for watching. My shirt has a T-Rex on it, and it says, I love you this much, and then in brackets it says, it's not very much. Because he's a T-Rex and can only hold his arms out at this point. Anyway, I'm very amused by my own sweater, or my own t-shirt. So, I need to go and put all this stuff away and make friendly with my dog again, because he's kind of pouting and sleeping on his bed on the floor, which he doesn't do very often. But I wouldn't let him leave it, because he was causing trouble, because he's a little troublemaker. Yeah, you. So, I hope you guys have a good 2 weeks, and I will talk to you later. Bye.